I
Okay.
think so. Um, Today, I think we've made some really cool features work. So, as per usual, as in as we also did yesterday, we're going to start with a little product tour, mostly for uh, anyone who hasn't watched these before, and for us to remember what it is we're doing. So, Ryan, mind sharing a tab?
Yeah.
So until then, what we're doing is we're trying to make a better ChatGPT UI, which sounds kind of implausible until you see what we're doing and why.
Hmm.
Um, but basically, what we're trying to do is, do you want to re, are you in the middle of something, Ryan?
I can start it over later.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're seeing on is our little editor, and you can see the URL on top if you want to go and try it. It's Bootstrap AI to github.io/evochat. And it has a lot of the features you might expect from a ChatGPT UI. And it has a lot of features you might not expect. So first of all, if you want to use it and you go there, the first thing you got to do is you got to go where it says toggle configuration panel and enter your OpenAI API key. Oh yeah, Ryan, one feature we have to add. A lot of the editors that do this have a link where people can go to get their own API key. So we probably should add that. So a
Hmm.
small lift. Anyway, and then you can sort of set all sorts of things like which model do you want to use, how many responses do you want back, like so you can actually set it to give you multiple responses, um how many tokens you want back at most, what the temperatures, and other sort of usual parameters from these kind of models. And also the last two are a personal access token and the repo, which I think for now for most people you can ignore, but if you have forked our project to your repo, you can then give your GitHub personal access token and repo name. And that will allow you to make better versions of the editor yourself and commit them and maybe even send a simple request. So, do you want to collapse that? Yeah. So basically, the way this works is on the left, you can see the usual chat window. You see the system message on top. Now, the particular system message is tuned for the task that we are working on, which is improving the editor itself. So if you type /source/, it will copy the message will be that little piece of text will be substituted with the source code of the editor you're looking at when it's sent to the LLM, and can then, as a result, you can ask for certain improvements to be made to the editor itself. So Ryan asks, about a bug that we have right now, um, and we will be able to, uh, the LLM ideally will return us the equivalent of a patch that we can apply to the source code, and then we can start a new version of the editor and see if it works. And basically, this is how we've built this whole editor, which is through just asking for small incremental improvements from the LLM, receiving them back, seeing if they work, and then committing the whole thing back into the repo. Right? That's our standard loop. That's the first thing we made sure works. The editor is extremely lightweight, as in it's a few hundred lines of code, and we've made sure that's the case because we don't make too many tokens. It's got to fit inside the context window, and also it runs completely locally. Right? There's no server, which means it's between you and the OpenAI API, at least for now. So basically, the way to think about it is on the right is the source code, which is kind of like a buffer, and on the left is the interaction. So then you can pick out things from the buffer, from the interaction, and put them into the buffer, put them into the source code, and then keep going. So Yeah, so Ryan is negotiating with the LLM. One feature you see here is that we don't have streaming replies, which we kind of should at some point have, but we do have a timer for the response for how long it takes to respond, which is kind of cool. And the feature that we're trying to perfect today, yeah, actually, I just thought of a variation on a feature, Ryan, that I think would be pretty cool.
What's that?
Let me know when you're available to tell you. If you're doing something mindless, I can tell you, but if you're focusing, I'll hold off.
Something went wrong. Where is my basic?
So Ryan is trying to fix a bug. I think we've been fighting with a specific bug since yesterday. I think he fixed most of it, but there is a little tail that we're still fighting with. There we go.
I'm gonna delete that.
Okay, so Ryan, the feature I have in mind is a way for us to sort of write multiple messages in the prompt but window so that we can express Smart GPT in one go.
Rather than just chaining them.
Yeah.
What's the advantage of that beyond just? Oh, like you mean multiple quantities? Sorry, explain this again.
Well, you can, for now, you can have it in one place, right? And just copy it in. And then it'll send the first one and the second one and the third one, right? So you just do one thing and it just runs the whole process rather than having to copy 3 times over and like tweak stuff and whatever.
Gotcha. How would you want to implement that?
I don't know. But okay, so before we get to that, maybe we can show folks what I'm talking about. So, is it working?
Yep.
Cool. Do you want to commit it?
Already did.
Okay. So, by the way, this is something that, again, I think I mentioned before, but I want to highlight. When we make an improvement or the LLM makes an improvement, we can test it and we can validate it and we can commit it. So we basically, the system itself is its own development environment.
Bizarre. Okay, something's still not working. But I think I know what. We can. I mean, do you want me to run this bug down, or we can get into the feature that we wanted to implement? I can just put this on the task list.
I don't know. I think I want you to. I mean, do you want to check quickly to see if it's something you can understand quickly what's wrong with it? If so, we can go for it. Or
Yeah. It's now a off by 1 in the opposite direction, I think.
did you fix the bit where if you yep, I saw it.
Yeah. So that's where it was.
Much more comfortable. So for anyone who's watching what Ryan is doing, again, these are things you can't normally do with a ChatGPT style interface, but he he basically edited the system message, and then he asked to regenerate a later message, which was then regenerated on the basis of the edit, right? So he's basically editing history and sort of re-executing the messages so that it fits. Is it good?
No, well, no, it's closer. But
Why is it so messy? Do you want to ask it if there's any bugs in the code? I think I'll be able to see it.
maybe. Give me a second.
Okay. Yeah, we want to show you something really cool, but let's let Ryan sort of run this problem down, and we will get there.
I find that it's not as great at catching bugs these days. Seems to hallucinate them.
Which model are you using?
The most recent GPT-4, the
Right.
601.
Dude, it's look, we're doing it wrong, right? Like, we know that we're doing it wrong. We know that if it hasn't figured something out, trying to like increment it towards figuring it out, if it's not in bug fix capacity, is, you know, the kind of rabbit hole we've fallen into
Well, I mean,
multiple
I'm not talking about the
times.
rabbit hole, though. I'm talking about like the here's some code, please review it for bugs.
Yeah.
I found it seems to be giving me more confidently wrong answers.
Yeah, I mean, what I tend to do in those situations is, if it's like vague wrong answers, like, you can sort of tell if it's being specific or not.
Yeah.
Right. And then I regenerate, and it often figures it out upon regeneration. And you can tell that the quality of the answer is different, because it will tell you why it will explain why it's suggesting something versus just asserting it. Okay. Yeah, but it's quite unfortunate how it doesn't, um, you know, the coding that we've ended up with doesn't actually talk about what you want to do, just how you want to do it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's receded into, very imperative code, which is fine. But, I think it makes things more difficult, maybe.
Yeah, it is. It is rather frustrating, right? Because there's like the goal that we're trying to achieve, right, is to get out of coding, and I'm finding myself like doing more coding than I would if I were just writing this interface by hand, almost.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's a temporary.
Well, hopefully, but what are we doing to make it hopefully, right? That's the question.
Right.
Like look, if we build a process that can get us out of it, then that's, arguably fine. But I think we also need to understand why we're not happy with this. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Does it?
Well, it's just, I mean, we're the constant refrain is that we get regressions, right? It's like it's if we're lucky, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. If we're unlucky, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a test suite would fix this.
right. But then we have to worry about the token overhead in the test suite, right? And a test suite is typically going to be larger than your code base.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure about that. Let's put some assumptions down.
Okay.
Let's say that your test suite is an end-to-end test suite, right? It's not a unit test suite. So it basically is a user sitting on the keyboard and doing a bunch of things and expecting a bunch of responses. Okay?
Yeah.
And let's assume that so basically what you'd have to do is write the behavioral script.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is basically just it should be your time traveling prompt chain, right? More or less. Maybe worded differently.
Well, sort of, yeah, right? Like, I mean, my basic thing is, can I, maybe it's the find bugs deck, right? Like when you start, it just goes to the LLM and asks, like, can you find any bugs in my code? And the LLM responds, right? And you expect to get nothing back. And then maybe that's coded as a complicated enough prompt chain that will test the functionality, but also like make some use of the computation expected, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wait, no, say that one more time. Sorry.
Let's say you start it up, right? And you have a few step prompt that basically asks the LLM to read the editor's code, and find bugs, find opportunities for refinement, find things like that.
Mm-hmm.
and you do it in such a way that all of your key functionalities are tested.
Yeah.
And you are expecting nothing to come back of value, right? And if something of value does come back, then you apply it and start over,
Yeah.
assuming your code isn't broken.
Right.
But long story short, I'm thinking like we should be able to articulate a test that is very small, but as a smoke test covers the vast majority of the code base.
Yeah.
I don't know if what I'm
Yeah.
saying is
It,
feasible, but
it's a post, right? It's a power on self test, right? You just execute it,
yes,
but you want that to be run rather than like a traditional testing framework test. You want that to just be basically be a prompt for the LLM to review the code and give you a green light or not.
sort of, yeah. It's like you're doing a classical self-test and a language model self-test.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. So what's going on now?
It's having me add it's coming up with a better strategy for handling which messages we're dealing with at any given moment.
Okay. Okay, so I will start looking at the yeah. What's the word I'm looking for here? Okay. Okay. What's happening?
I'm trying something because I'm still caught in non-function hell with this regenerate button. Like it can't undo the problem.
What if we just deleted all functionality and said every
just remove
every
it and try and implement it as if it was a new feature?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if it'll lead to I mean, that's kind of the minimum version of my thesis about the tech tree, but yeah, I suspect it might work better than you expect.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. So I just on a lark, I asked it to just list me. I changed the system message to just ask for a complete feature listing and a summary of what the thing does, and then asked it for a precise functional specification. So I just want to read this spec really quick and see if maybe we can get a refactor by spec.
Can you read out the spec at least?
Yeah. So functional specification for web-based chat and code editing application. User interface. Get a user interface split into two halves. One half is allocated to the chat interface. The other is source code editor. Chat interface allows users to engage in a conversation with an AI assistant. Users can type their messages and send them by clicking the send message button. Configuration panel. It lists all the various things that we can change. Source code editor, view, edit, and manipulate HTML code. Spawn opens a new window with the current content in the editor, copies the current content in the editor, commits the current content in the editor to a specified GitHub repository, restores the content in the editor to its initial state, format, token count, displays the number of tokens in the current content. OpenAI API integrations, GitHub integration, local storage, message regeneration. The application allows users to regenerate AI assistant messages. It includes a regenerate button for each assistant messages, which, when clicked, sends the conversation history up to that point for a new response. This seems like a pretty complete spec of what we've got. It doesn't have editable history in it anywhere.
Yeah. And I guess it doesn't understand that it is able to edit its own source code.
Yeah, it doesn't understand the self-referential bit.
Yeah. What does it say about regeneration?
It basically treats it like the OpenAI's version. It doesn't. The application allows users to regenerate AI messages. It includes a regenerate button for each assistant message, which, when clicked, sends the conversation history up to that point to the API for a new response.
I'm not sure I follow.
It just regenerates the message based on the history up to that point.
Isn't that what we wanted?
There's nothing in here that calls out the fact that you can edit the history.
Is that the problem we have right now? It doesn't take the history into account?
No.
Okay.
That's the problem that we have is just it's the fact that we're playing fast and like we don't have like an actual message data model, right? So we're just splicing shit in and out of the DOM willy-nilly. And there's a bug buried in there somewhere. I was thinking but this is close enough that if I added that part about editable history, I might be able to just regenerate the app in one pass using GPT-4. You want to try it?
I'm highly skeptical that it would just regenerate the app.
Yeah, me too. I could try it in a new tab and we just come back to it in a second and see if it works. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Then elsewhere, let's do the other thing and just strip out the regenerate button.
Or we'll just ask it to do that.
Okay.
And I wonder if you should also ask it to make sure every message has a unique ID.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do 3 steps. Let's remove all the regenerate stuff,
Okay.
the ID, and then add regenerate. Yep, of course not.
What happened?
GPT-4 in March could do it. Oh, it just gave me the classic scaffold bullshit. Okay.
Sounds like it's actually telling you what to do, no?
What?
It's telling you
No,
what to
I
do.
was talking about the other window. Where
Right. Okay. I think I've reorganized our tech tree a little bit, but what are you working on?
Got that ID function.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
it'll be nice. I don't know. Nope.
Okay. Can we back out? I think this is going to take you a while.
Yeah.
Do you have it in a stable place?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll commit.
Let's get us some quick wins, because I think we need dopamine. Can you make it when a response comes back to scroll all the way to the response?
Already did.
Did? Okay. Remove that. The regenerate message, does it also send itself still?
Yeah. Well, regenerate is gone.
You committed the regenerate being gone?
Yes.
Okay. Is the prompt being emptied when we send it?
Yes.
Okay. So we can go towards the delta. We could there's linter and stuff that's difficult. There's automated testing. There is auto prompting, prompt playback, full project social features, other agents, full loop. Commit to branch. Okay, can we try to fix highlighting again?
Sure.
Is that too much to ask?
No, we can. Do you want to do it with?
Try Prism one more time.
With the source code editor?
Is Prism problematic for editing?
I mean, every time we've tried it, it's completely nuked everything.
What does that mean?
I mean, it erases all of the HTML, like the way it renders, like whatever GPT comes up with to use it. That we've tried like 3 passes at it, and it's nuked it every time. It just gives us garbage in the source code editor. Code Mirror at least gave us something workable.
I'd like to have good rendering code both on left and right.
Yeah.
So there's Prism, there's highlight.js. Let me check highlight one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make it do not send any white space, including at the end of the line, maybe, until I do that?
Yeah. In the source code?
Yeah. Like, I want to, like, we have to see, like, the idea is we see nicely formatted code, but we send completely unformatted code.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to save a bunch of tokens, and I don't think it's worth being, clever without having done that first.
Yeah. Well, we've already done the left pad thing.
I know, but even the other part of that is like a good chunk.
Yeah.
So
It's going to remove white space inside of strings.
yeah, no, just say like at the end of lines.
Oh, so just from both sides?
Yeah. Like you just want one long what do I call it? One line. Basically, you just want to remove the new lines. That's it. Right? Once you've left padded it,
Yeah.
you just want to remove all new lines too.
Got it.
And if we're getting fancy, you want to also change space. So equal space should be equals, and colon space should be colon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we get into that, do we use pre and code for every code space, code area?
No idea.
Okay. Anyway, we should before when we get to highlighting again, we should make sure we use that because all of them basically insist on that pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other nice thing about using CodeMirror versus just Prism is like, you can select a block and tab it in and out. You don't get this weird like behavior where I paste something in and it jumps around. You get line numbers, all that shit. Okay.
Okay, so what's going on?
I'm gonna try and bring in Code Mirror.
Only on the editor?
On both.
Wait, did you fix the issue with the sending no new lines?
Yeah.
Did that reduce the amount of tokens?
By like 40.
That doesn't sound right. Because we were at 33 something after you removed regenerate, and now we're at 34 something.
Yeah, because I'm halfway through adding Code Mirror.
Oh, I see. Did you also do the equal space and
No, I didn't do those.
I
haven't done those yet.
Okay. And by the way, we should also be dropping comments.
Yeah.
Just to completely get it straight.
One thing at a time.
Okay. Look, if we keep having to backtrack, I think I will prioritize putting the commit message in the the prompt as a commit message thing.
Yeah.
So we can actually have a hope at
Recapitulating things.
Yeah, and therefore reorganizing,
Yeah. You want me to do that? You want me to stop the Code Mirror stuff and try and do that right now?
No, I mean, I don't know. Up to you. If you think you got momentum, just do it.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm starting to have some thoughts about all of this.
Look at that.
What am I looking at?
My shared screen.
Yeah, I see it. Does formatting work?
Let's find out. Formats the HTML, probably still same problem because we haven't addressed that yet with the embedded.
Right.
That tonight.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. If we had a custom, like a web app framework of sorts, right?
Mhm.
We could use it as a store of best practices that we could extract from the code itself here as we see it, and these things could go there, and that would sort of pluck them out of the path dependent course, if you see what I mean. Like, if you add a rule that says whenever you see an HTML tag, just add lang equals en, for instance, right?
Yeah.
That's not a relevant consideration anymore. Like, that's not something you have to think about it. It doesn't matter if it happens in the beginning of the path, the end of the path. It's just something that's done.
Yeah. Right, so you're basically talking about sort of like just-in-time code mods that we no longer have to put in the source.
Yeah. Like just extracting some wisdom so that we don't have to deal with them, because basically the stuff we want to deal with time travel is the stuff that is intermingled, right? If it's not intermingled, we don't care about it, right? And we should be actively trying to not intermingle stuff. We should be actively trying to get stuff out of the way, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, yes, we should try the time travel prompt history thing. But at the same time, every time we go through it, we should also be exporting knowledge into the vault that just gets auto applied where applicable, and we don't ever have to think about it, path dependently or not.
Right.
Now, in principle, any framework should help us do that, but of course, principle isn't practice.
Yeah. Okay. Code mirror is in and committed.
So we've got highlighting, we got code lines, right? On both left and right.
No, we can do that now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do think we. So do you? Anyway, finish the thing and let's talk about it a little bit more, because it does. It's the sort of thing we should talk about. Okay, so basically, what I'm, like, I mean, even see, this thing with the how many scripts are we bringing in now? Like, I see
Quite a bit.
6.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we should probably try to bring them all from the same CDN.
Yeah.
And then have one invocation that brings 6 scripts in. Like, create a different, like a custom element, if you like. That's like, from cdnjscloudflare.com, you know, bring me these 6 scripts.
Yeah.
Right? That's the economical, token economical way to do this.
Yeah.
Have we tried asking it to fix the prettier config format without doing it by hand?
Yeah. We tried it last week, I think. It kept telling us the same. It kept bouncing back and forth between the two same wrong suggestions.
Okay. Any idea why we've dropped to 3266 now?
No. Our token counter is not updating.
No, it is. Maybe not enough.
Oh, it doesn't. Copy paste doesn't trigger it, or like undo and redo doesn't actually trigger the update function.
Right. Oh, I see. Okay. Which is a bug, bro. We should fix.
Yeah.
Did you know there is a CSS library for building interface that look like Windows 98?
I think I did know that actually.
Yeah, that is
I saw
something.
that on Hacker News many moons ago.
Yeah, that is a fact about the world.
Yeah. Oh, God. Did I do that? All right. Doesn't work for our messages.
What do you mean?
I mean, our messages are not in CodeMirror.
I see.
Okay, it's stuck in a cul-de-sac. It's starting to just repeat itself with the wrong solutions.
What are you trying to do again?
I'm trying to get the code blocks to render on in the chat message.
Okay. So what do you think is the problem?
Um, it really beats the hell out of me because I mean the we're getting stuff rendered by Showdown.
Can you see if code in messages gets a pre and a code element in the HTML when Showdown does it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so basically, you don't need to tell it code mirror anything about messages. In theory, you should be able to just say, code pre-code combos should be rendered as editors, right? I guess but that's not how it's done for the other one either, I guess.
I mean, that was the first thing it tried by default, and it didn't work.
Why was that?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, so what do we do now?
Yeah. I can try.
Do you want to just ask it if there's any bugs here? Just because, again, it feels like one of those moments where it's confused itself sufficiently that I'm wondering what the hell it's looking at.
Yeah.
So tell me again, how does it do the thing on the right?
It just creates an editor component instead and uses the code mirror API to get and set values from it. Then everything else is just encapsulated.
Right. So it's not really rendering a component so much as it's. Oh, you got an error. Is that?
500.
Okay. Can we just fix that at least? Like errors that return from the API should be shown in the holding message. Right? And a regen, ideally. I mean, actually, what we want is automated retries. Yeah. Especially for 500s. I mean, we can actually code that behavior, right?
Yeah. So actually,
You haven't given it the source code.
sure haven't.
Yeah, so if we get the sort of retry behavior, that's another step towards automated flows, right? Um,
Yeah.
oh, it actually didn't do what you said exactly. See at the bottom what it says it did.
That's what I asked for.
Well, I would like to see it, and also for it to retry. It is going to try to retry in secret, and then tell us about it.
Oh, okay.
Say modify this so that the error and the retry countdown is shown in place of the holding message. Yeah. I meant to retry countdown, but retry count as well.
Oh, and of course that very message sends gives us an error.
Wait, don't send it because you can say the retry count and countdown.
What's up?
The retry count and countdown. Yeah. Yeah, I think you were forced to refresh here because we don't have like a run button at the edited message itself, right?
Well, we don't have regenerate functionality.
Yeah, but this is like cascade regenerate. Like yeah. Anyway, whatever. Keep going.
It's doing that. I'm gonna go ahead and just assume that that's working, and then we'll come back to it next time we actually get an error message.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Um I don't remember.
Code Mirror.
No, you told me how CodeMirror did its thing. I can't say I'm happy with it, but whatever. We need a highlighter, man. Like I don't know. Maybe we need a highlighter on left that's different from CodeMirror on the right. But CodeMirror doesn't seem to be working with the paradigm we need it to. I know that seems very scary the way you're phrasing it. We need a thing that will passively understand and do the right thing there. We don't need imperative code that will try to shove something somewhere on event. That's much more like it. What did it decide to do? Highlight.js. There you go.
Garbage.
What?
Didn't work.
What didn't work?
Yet.
You mean the code highlighting?
Yeah. Oh, shit. And that's actually nuking everything.
I'm working on the templating as we speak. To see, I had an idea. I mean, it's kind of wonky, but it's kind of cool. I don't know. And yeah, I'll show you. Just trying to finish off one last little gremlin. Yeah, I think at this point though, it's lost the like initial elegance. I think the problem you spotted. What are you doing on your end?
I reset and asked it fresh. It got stuck in a cul-de-sac with highlight.js again too.
Okay, you want me to show you as a break what I'm doing?
Yes, God. Yes, very much so.
Okay.
I need a break.
Yeah, I suspected as much. Okay, so basically, my idea was this. You see this?
Uh-huh.
That's it. That's my idea. That's the closing.
Yeah. I hate it.
Huh?
I hate it, but not for any particular reason.
No, I mean it is hate worthy. It's like, I mean it's kind of what you said, right? It's a reserve symbol, it goes up. But at the same time, I mean, seriously, that's what you found?
Is open and close paren, that's got to be a single token, right?
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's probably less than a single token. It gets absorbed into the surroundings. And also, I did this other magic thing where it doesn't actually close all of them at the end. That's assumed.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like, right? First of all, I undid on the CSS side. I just turned it all into like normal method invocations as well, right? So the only special tag is script for obvious reasons. You could do it with a template literal, but then you'd have to put in the code as string, which I don't like because it breaks your highlighting.
Yeah.
So this is the only exception to the rule.
Cool.
Right, and it's got the implementation here. I mean, you see, this is the implementation. It's not much. It's a pretty simple thing, and the spec is HTML element creation. Each HTML element is invoking invoking as a method on the object returned by the DSL. It can be chained indefinitely to create deeply nested HTML structures. Example. I just thought of something. Anyway, whatever. HTML attributes can be specified by passing an object to the element function. HTML element content can be provided by passing a string as an argument. Closing an HTML element is automatically closed when the next sibling element is created. However, if there is no sibling and you want to go up a level with the HTML tree, an empty invocation is used. CSS creation, the same way. Custom CSS classes, the same way. JavaScript code can be included in the script method. Yeah, so basically what I showed you, right? That's it. Now let's try to do some counting. So basically, I counted from here, right? This is the actual there of the method.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my counter. Right, so this gives you 194 tokens for this.
Okay.
Yep. And let's see what the equivalent. It might be losing its mind. There we go. Oh, I like it. It kind of figured out that it should add a doc type by default, which is more automation, which I like. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, the condensed syntax code is 194 tokens, and drumroll. Let's see what the new one is. Huh?
I was just telling you to switch tabs.
Yep. 211. So 17 tokens difference, or I don't know, 8% or something off the top of my head. But what happens if so let's go for the condensed version. Are you doing anything on the code front, or just kind of taking a break? Yeah. So I mean, again, I'm not tempted by this necessarily because of the syntax, right? Which is fine. Like, I don't know that it's perfect. I actually have another idea I'm gonna try probably before we nail it. That is a little bit more conventional. But before we do any of that, the reason I'm tempted with this is that I want to start, have an intermediate layer between us and the HTML that I can teach things to, if that makes sense. Does it?
No. Sorry.
Like, the fact that HTML always comes with lang equals en, for instance, right?
Yeah.
I want to just say, assume that. I don't want to have to write it every time.
Oh, sure.
Right? Or, I don't know. Let's say I have an idea that I want to be able to create random elements, and I want the default understanding to be that if it's not one of the elements you expect, consider it to be a div with that as its class name.
Sure.
Right? Extra like content, and that should be like translate it to div, class equals content, whatever, right? Or I should be able to go and explore my various CSS frameworks and then add some sort of implicit mapping between HTML structure and CSS structure.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so it's 157 if we remove all the white space. Okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, one sec. There. Now, what happens if I take the new code here and I put it into the same place and remove all white space? So I'm not counting that part or that part. The reason I'm not counting them is because that stuff can, like, if we find a name for this thing, we can basically declare that the declare to be some sort of JavaScript that the thing should automatically render as JavaScript, and then we process it to add the boilerplate.
Yeah.
In other words, we don't need to pay the cost of. Yeah. Oh, that's a much faster way of doing it. I like that. It is awful, isn't it?
What?
The syntax. It is intended to make JavaScript developers cry, I think.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it beautiful.
Right, of course.
Huh?
Of course, right? You're trying to get on Gator's good side.
No. My friend, the way to get on Gator's good side isn't to not try to get on Gator's good side. I feel like trying to get on Gator's good side is definite to get you on Gator's bad side.
Yeah.
So I just don't try. And while I can't say I'm on his
Job.
good side, I'm reasonably certain I'm not on his bad side because I know what that looks like. And so does David Fuller. What was the other one again?
150 something.
Well, yeah, but what's something? Thanks, Ryan. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I will figure that out.
Just go back to the HTML and just do that.
I do have it. Okay, so it's 157, 142. So 15. Yeah, that's a nice 10% save.
Yeah.
Is it? Let me see. I'm just looking now at the tokenization down there. I mean, it's pretty minimal. Like, I mean, I do like it. Yeah. Yeah, you see, like here, the one paren got sucked into the dot.
Yeah.
Again, the same thing here. Yeah. And again there. Yeah. So basically the whole story of adding the parens basically has cost us like 2 tokens. Like, as opposed to the fact that, you see F0, F0, F0 over here?
Yeah. That's
6 tokens. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Yep. 6 of 142. It's like a good 4% of all the tokens is that one color. I don't know. I hope it's super special. It'll be worth it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're scraping the bottom here of what is possible with these tokens because there's just nothing. Like I feel like doing things like, see where it has H1.
H1.
It's here, right? I'm trying to find it in the code up above. Right. Let's say you create a convention to do like .1, for instance. That's going to save you a token, but is it worth it? Is it not worth it? I don't know. What else? What else? I mean, I'm just looking at it. I don't see anywhere where so lang n, right? If you teach it that is something that it doesn't need to explain, that is 6 tokens.
Yeah, but if we have to realize that, that occurs once per HTML document, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, that's fair, and that's not really the point for me. The point is like, I want to be able to teach it stuff.
Yeah,
and that's just one thing that happens all the time that I can teach it. Look, let's face it, right? Like this thing right now is dominated by its content. Like if you just say, like if I remove all of the content, right? You got this. You got this. Right. I'm just gonna go completely butcher. Simple page. Fofo. 333. Blue. White. Hello world. ID content. Welcome to this page. Let's just say we even remove that. Let's just say remove that. Right, like 100. Yeah, I mean 101 tokens is just the content. So, maybe a better comparison is to say that you go from 57 to 42 tokens for the 41 tokens for the overhead, rather than wait. Right. So basically, if you remove the lang n, right, you're at 136, and 101 of them is content. So you basically are at 35 tokens worth of markup. So yeah, I feel like you're not going to get much better than this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the idea. Yeah, but I mean, like I just like I like the look of this much better than the look of this. And even though I've spent, what, almost 30 years looking at HTML,
yeah,
it's not looking any better to me.
Yeah.
Like it's just not looking any better. It's just, like I've never made my peace with the closing tags. I mean, I get why they did it back when they did it, but it's not making any sense to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I don't know what you think, but yeah. So like the question is like, if we, okay, you know what else I can do? I can take the code from our page, right, from chat with assistant. And I can try to like shove it in there and basically see what happens.
Along for ChatGPT. It's too long for ChatGPT.
Well, yeah, but I can take out the script. Right? I just need the HTML to be nicely done. Like, this doesn't affect the HTML anyway. Okay, so I will say, can you format low in our new CSL style? Oh, crap.
That's not what you wanted to do.
No. Oh, do you mind just removing the chat with assistant thing? I mean, honestly, just you can put Evo chat, or you just remove it. We don't need we don't need to be paying $6 for yeah, we can just remove the title altogether, honestly. What?
And so on.
Yeah, fuck that. Not convinced. I saw it made another mistake, so I'm regenerating anyway.
Yeah.
Are you doing it?
Oh, sure.
Just remove the title tag entirely. Like, there's no value to it. We can add it later. Dude, are you seeing how much CSS the oh my god. Don't make me do this.
How much CSS what?
How much CSS the token count is bringing in?
No.
You should have a look.
Oh, as far as like custom CSS in our style tag?
Yeah. If your idle, if your thing is idle, I would also ask it to just just use word colors and not hex colors, and just brace. Jesus Christ! It just can't do it. Yeah, now I've started noticing, all sorts of things that are, non-trunk elements, right? That we don't need to be carrying along. We can just add them later. It's a very interesting way to think, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's just
Tell
fucking
it now.
kind
Give
of
me
cool.
the buttons that you omitted.
Huh?
I was just gonna say now. Just tell it to give you the buttons that it omitted.
I was gonna, but then it did 2 bits. Did it save any tokens?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I suppose I could check. Yeah, maybe 10.
Right. More buttons here. Okay. This time I was like even more emotionally
Manipulative.
manipulative. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it had it coming, you know.
For sure.
Does it look awful when it changes the colors to names?
I made it slightly less awful. I just did it myself. I just chose some colors.
Why?
Because I didn't want to wait 30 seconds to get 4 characters back.
I'm just curious how it would have done it. That's all. Jesus Christ, brother. Are you kidding me? No, it doesn't. I think I might be blowing out its context, honestly. It's not like I'm seeing it make small errors here and there.
Yeah.
Okay, so summarizing what we've done today, we tried to fix the regen, which we didn't. We added highlighting on the right, which is good. Highlighting on the left is resisting us. Is that fair? What else?
Well, we didn't do it on stream, but I fixed the
Right.
messages shit.
Yeah.
That was my big win off camera.
Yeah. Good Lord. What is happening? Oh, yeah, that's saying it right ish. Yeah, like for instance, this, right? It could totally, I could totally give it a little form maker where, label and input are all sort of converted to a little object array.
Right.
Right. I see now why it was trying to avoid this like hell. I see. I totally see. Let me see. Let me do the. I want to make the. Oh Jesus Christ! I mean, though. That said, um, it does bring to stark relief how. Yeah. You know what? Actually, like, I mean, see this, right? Let me just bring the rest in, but I think it's actually very interesting what it did. I don't know if it did I mean, I'm starting to wonder if it did it right, but if it did, it is extremely telling. Um, I mean, 2/3 of the HTML are these little loopers, right? Uh, okay, so this is 1457, right? The reconstituted code.
Yeah.
And that's without.
The main script.
Huh?
It's without the main script.
Without the main script, but also without removing white space at all.
Sure.
But let's see the saving from the main version. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, drum roll. Womp womp.
Wait, undo. Oh yeah. Sad trombone.
That is sad trombone. Yeah, no, that's a sad trombone indeed. But it does raise the point that, I mean, do you see it here? Here you can actually see it.
Yeah.
Like once you do it like this, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Like this entire thing here is a boatload of, tokens. I mean, like seriously, look at this. Right? And this as well. Like basically this whole thing is the configuration panel, right?
Yeah.
So with it, it's 1363. Without it, it's 560.
Yeah.
Right. And some of that is essential elements, don't get me wrong. But I mean, it's
But
800
also
tokens
bringing in
worth of repeats.
maybe refactoring not to use Tailwind, but use another CSS library like Bulma or Material or something like that.
You mean because of the insane amount of like micromanagement it's doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, but also it is putting a label and an input and a on click, right?
Right.
So, oh no, wait, that on click is different. No, that's not the form. Sorry. But yeah, no, Tailwind it is bothering me, and I was gonna say like another thing we could do if we had our own syntax is to bake in a specific CSS library.
Right.
right? That just kind of does the right thing. I mean, I would need to study the libraries a little bit, but I was actually just briefly searching, and I was thinking like, I don't need a beauty queen here. I need an opinionated library that will do the right thing most of the time without me having to think about it.
Yeah.
Right. If we're talking about rapid prototyping, I don't really care that much how it looks. I mean, I want it to look good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have particular views about things that beyond the basics. Now, of course, after it messes something up, I will have views. I suppose that is a fair concern, but I don't know. I guess I don't think it is completely impossible that something will, not mess things up. Anyway, yeah, I mean, just the form is 500 tokens. Like, there's no just the configuration form is, yeah. It's five. Well, eight. Yeah, it's 500 plus tokens. So I don't know.
Yeah, we might look at just even just a form generator library, right? Just JSON forms.
I think so. Because I mean, what are these things like? Ultimately, I mean, let's focus in on one of these fields, right? The Open API key. Let's just zoom in on that one. Right. Okay. What is the actual? It's API key. OpenAI. By the way, like this, like API key is not needed. If the text was useful, you can also auto convert it into a key, right? Whatever, snake case it. So long as we don't have to carry it around, we don't.
Yeah.
It could be like open.
Sure.
Because who cares, right? So long as it plugs it into the right places automatically, we don't care. Input ID equals, again, API key, right? Type is equals password, right? Placeholder. I mean, why does it need a placeholder? You have a label. On change, right? That should, again, like, I mean, that can go in general. Like on change, just save the whole thing, man. Like, save the whole form. Like, I don't. Why does this like that? And then there's this class, which again, unclear. Like yeah. So I doubt that is useful. So basically, yeah, in order to carry like this, right? Open API key and type password, which are like 8 tokens. You are carrying around 58 tokens worth of junk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow, it's not feeling like we're getting the bang for the buck here. Okay, so yeah, let's actually, you know what? Let's talk a little bit more. What? Okay, I'm back. Can you see me?
I've been able to see you this whole time.
Oh my god, that is quite the revelation, sir. How dare you? Okay.
Now I can see you.
Yeah. So, okay, in terms of iteration speed, what is getting in the way the most? Is it blowing out the token size? Oh, sorry. We haven't confirmed that the feature works, but we added the ability to see errors on the API and have retries, which would be beautiful if it works. Right, which again gets us a little bit further towards automated like cascades of prompts. Yeah, I think actually that was one of the better ones we did, and kind of discovered it as we're going. But in terms of iteration speed right now, what would you say is our biggest uh, friction point?
Probably the merging step
Okay.
and regressions, right? Regressions are killer.
Yeah, I mean, getting the
Which
merging step
more often than not
automated.
probably are caused by me fucking up during the merging step, right?
Yeah, I mean, now that we have the whole function, I think that's probably less so.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's the LLM getting stuck into a cul-de-sac, right?
yeah. I mean, for that, I think we've said this a few times, but we need to stop trying to fix it. Like
Right.
we need to start backtracking and saying do it right. If it doesn't nail it, or the odds that it will nail it later are, I mean, sometimes it happens, right? But most of the time, it just will start meandering and waste a lot of time. Yeah. So, I mean, I think auto. Look, I guess the thing is not just what is the most friction, but what friction can we. What's the most friction we can get rid of per unit of time invested, right? So I think probably look, I'll tell you the interaction as I think about it, right? Which is that functions should be identified, and a button should be positioned either over them or under them, which is sort of merge or move or whatever. Um, which and when you press on the function, it should highlight on the one side and on the other, right? And there should be another button which is like merge all, right? Which is like, so as we get in the beginning, I think we're going to be clicking and checking and then merging, and then gradually we're just going to be merging, and then eventually we're just going to be like merge all, and then we're just going to put it on auto merge.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, I think we need to get on that escalator, because not just because it'll save us some time now, but because as we get on it and we get better at it, opens up the path towards automated refactorings, which is kind of the dream, I think. Yeah, but the next thing after that is automating the testing, and so that I've struggled with like for a good decade, right? I have very strong opinions about testing, mostly that while there is a kernel of truth in it, the way most developers do it is cargo cult.
Yeah.
Like there's no there's no clear limiting principle in how developers do testing, right? You never know when you've tested enough.
Yeah. I mean, there's code coverage analysis,
But I mean that doesn't
I don't know
tell
anyone who
you
uses that
anything.
in a
Like it's
disciplined way.
huh?
I don't know anyone who uses it in a disciplined way. They just sort of vibe it, and they're like, "Oh, let's increase this number." It just becomes a tyrannical metric, right?
It becomes a virtue signal. It's even worse than that, right? Like, oh well, the professional engineers test more, right? And the testing like just slows, kills your development cycle, because you just keep waiting for the fucking test to complete, which have succeeded every single fucking time for the last 40 years, but they keep running. Like there's no tracking of like, hey, this thing has never gone wrong in the last 5,000 runs. Like, why is it still like? Clearly, it's not going to break now. Why are we running it every time? There's no cost. I don't know.
Well,
I have like
you start with the assumption that any line in your source code could have changed, right? So you're not running differential tests, right? You're running the
right.
entire test suite, which, fair enough as a naive implementation, but, as an industry, why are we Why is the default to use the naive implementation?
It's not just like I don't know, there's something fundamentally wrong. Like, look, in a way, right, you've got a laser gun, let's say, that can make needlepoint holes, right?
Okay.
And you're literally trying to cover the entire thing. Like, you're not going to do it. So people both are overdoing it and not getting out of it what they should be getting, which is complete coverage. Right, because there's the right number of tests by that philosophy is infinity. Right, there's another approach, which is formal methods, right, which actually does prove that your code does what you wanted to do, right? But that is difficult, so people don't do that either. With SQL, you can sort of do it, right? With systems that are declarative, you can actually like get some understanding that your code does what you want it to do, which is fair enough. But for most imperative, so it's almost like if you get into the game of having imperative code, you're kind of screwed, right? And people try to make up for it again by overcoding tests. At the same, so all of that is to say, like, the best solution I've found is to treat the whole thing as a black box, right? And just friggin' like, well, actually, no, to be precise, the best solution I found is to have a tree, right? Where at the top is your end-to-end test. Your end-to-end test is supposed to do the things that you care about. And if it works, like, it should work. Like, it should really prove that the functionality you care about is there. And you should add whatever functionality you care about. You should add to your end-to-end test. If your end-to-end test fails, but if it fails, it won't give you much information about what failed. And then you trigger, the very long, detailed, like, next resolution of tests. Or in our case, we just ask the LLM what's wrong. But and maybe that's the solution, honestly, right? It's like, well, this doesn't work. What, maybe that's how we should do it. But like, so with that in mind, then we need to design a path through what we have right now, which will touch, as much of the functionality we have as possible in as few moves as possible. Like, in old school, in Balena, one of the things I wanted to do that just expresses fully the how to do it right is having one app that we made available to users that ran a camera. Okay, another app that we made available to users that showed a QR code on a screen.
Yeah,
and having two devices, right? One with a camera and one with a screen, right? And you run the end-to-end test, which sets up both devices, loads them up the OS, puts them in different applications. They download the two different apps, right? And so at the end, what you want is for the camera to read the QR code. And once the camera reads the QR code and you get the right code back, how much of your code base have you confirmed at that point?
Right. Quite a bit.
Right? A vast amount with just a thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah. Right? You've got deployment, you've got, the user apps, you've got the operating system, you got like, just the communication back and forth. You've got the camera, the drivers, the kernel. Like, there's just so much stuff that just got confirmed with a thumbs up, thumbs down. And what's beautiful about it, like, even the apps themselves are not deadweight, right? They're not tests. They are actual stuff that people get value from. Your actual, like, harness is minimal. Which actually brings me to the other point that perhaps the best way to do this is to build an automation layer into the thing and then use that automation layer for testing, but not build the testing, the automation layer for testing. You see what I mean? Like, you can make it run a routine, like, do this and then that and then commit and then whatever, which should be a useful thing to do. Right. Oh, for example, right. Beautiful. A refactoring run, right? You run a refactoring run, which is like, take the code, send it over, to ask for refactoring, get the best idea, bring it back, and integrate it, and commit it. Integrate it, test it. How? Sorry, that has a problem. Anyway, all right. Yeah, let's think about. Let's start tomorrow earlier. I know this is like painful, but I think we are making a lot of progress. At least one every 2 days, or so, every other day. We just need to burn through some of this. If you got more time later, just try to at least burn through some of the bugs and whatnot. I think I've organized. No, you haven't seen that. Anyway, yeah, just try to burn through some of the bugs. I think we are headed where we should be headed. It is still like I still am frustrated that I don't have a clear way to prioritize. Like I kind of know we need all these things, sort of, but that's not a good place to be. Okay, putting all of the thoughts together, I think the best move is to be able to run automated routines because that will be our testing.
Okay.
Right. So let's say we teach it to be able to set up to queue up multiple messages from the message box, right?
Okay. In one go,
yeah. Right? Then we can have one of those be, and maybe we can parameterize too in there, right? Like it could be like message 1 parenthesis blah blah blah, text. Message 2 parenthesis blah 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 text. I'm just thinking out loud here, right? And maybe that can be then the end-to-end test is just one like load of that, one payload of that. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I think I've lost you, and it's late. So let's park it here.
I get where you're going there.
Yeah. No,
I want to discuss that more before trying to dive into it. But
sure. Anyway, if we that said, if we have time, I think first is the Delta merging stuffs, and then this. Yeah. But once we got both of those, we'll be able to do testing. So maybe that's the tech tree, right? There's the Delta merge, even the poor man's Delta merge that we got now. There's the automated routines running, and then we combine both of them into automated testing. And that's a major knockout of friction. Okay.
Cool.
Bye-bye.